Hey, I want to get to this sound from Kyle Shanahan. This is from the TK show,
all right.
Tim Kawakami's podcast. He had Kyle Shanahan on a few days ago, and he talked about Brock Purdy last season, what he did, and how tough he's going to be beaten out for the position. Take a listen. This is interesting.
What I can see is what Brock did in his games last year. People give him a lot of credit. They gave our team a lot of credit, but I know how good he played. And I think anybody who really sits and watches it, whether it's our teammates, whether our coaches, I mean, it was strong in the season, but it got stronger in the offseason. It's because what he put on tape was real. And that's what makes it easy, the situation we're in. Now, Trey and Sam, they have the ability to do that stuff. It is harder for them to do it in practice and to jump a guy who we've seen do it in 7 games like that. That's the harder situation. It's a situation I'm happy about, though. Now, maybe he has a setback. Maybe he's rusty and stuff and because of his injury and stuff. I don't know. I don't think he will be. I think he'll get back to that point. And then these other guys can play, too. Maybe he does get an injury, and Sam or Trey get an opportunity just like Brock did last year. All of this can happen to each one of them. I know the way that we all would have drawn it up because how we spent our draft picks. And that's the way it was going to go. Injuries happen. And when injuries happen, you don't really lose your job because of injury, but you give opportunities to someone else. And this guy who got his opportunity came in and did stuff on film for me, for John, for all our players. That was as good as we've seen here. And it's going to be real hard to beat out.
Close the book.
I believe everything he said. No, did you hear it?
Close the book.
You're burying the lead.
Oh, no.
You know, and nobody's wishing for this, Donnie, another injury to a starting quarterback, but this is the NFL. It happens, and it happens a lot, particularly to this team that we're talking about, the San Francisco 49ers. He said it. It's game on as well as it should be, Steiny. If something were to happen to their starting quarterback,
and that's for
Brock
any
Purdy.
team.
But what he's not ignoring is the other two guys obviously got to stay ready because they can do what he saw Brock do, and nobody thought
we'll see.
Walking this free earth that he would be successful at it.
Yeah,
no wishing injury, but he's saying this is the nature of the beast, and those guys. I mean, he almost was sounding like he said, yeah, like Trey and Darnold may. If something happened to Brock, they'll be right there in the.
That's the only way they're going to be.
No, I believe.
Like to me, that part, like. Kyle Shanahan said, something could happen to Brock, and then we got to go to the backup. Well, something could happen to Herbert, and they got to go to the backup. But what I heard was Shanahan saying at the end of the season, we started looking at tape of the 10 games that Purdy played, and we thought he played even better than we thought he played live.
Right.
And so
that's a hell of a
book, to me, this thing's a wrap. At least for the time being. Brock Purdy's going to quarterback this team. And I'll tell you what, there is no way, and 49er fans, feel free to chime in here at 888-957-9570. They have no doubt that Brock Purdy will be 100% by week 1. They just wouldn't be talking this confidently about him and where he's at. I don't think, unless they are assuming he is going to be 100% healthy. And
I feel you on that, man. I have nothing for you, but I agree with that.
The other thing is, and here's a question that, we were talking to Evan before the show, and he said, well, how long a leash you think Brock Purdy has? And I said, I'm interested to I think this guy's got the longest leash of any quarterback we've seen under Kyle Shanahan. I think he's got a longer leash than Garoppolo had or would have had.
So, Barnes,
I'm telling you, I've been blown away the last 2 or 3 days by how this front office and how this coaching staff's talking about Brock Purdy, and it's leading me to one place and one place only, and that is what I said yesterday. Okay. This is his team, and it's going to be his team unless he gets hurt. But even if he gets hurt, the minute he's healthy, he's going right back into the starting lineup. What I'm hearing is that Brock Purdy is noticeably and obviously better right now than the other two quarterbacks.
All right, and let me say this to you about that leash, and Evan did bring it up, Steiny. Let's just say for Brock remains healthy. Let's just say, and this is highly unlikely, but it could be a possibility, the Niners are 3-6. Okay. Somehow they're 3-6. and Brock Purdy doesn't look like the Brock Purdy from last year. He looks like, he's not getting a lot on the throws, maybe, more interceptions and touchdowns. And it's obvious to anybody that's watching the Niners that maybe Brock's taking a step back. That's 9 games. I got to believe maybe week 10, week 11, maybe not, forget Purdy, Darnold, there would be talk of maybe one of the other two getting on the field, because that window that we'll get to, what George Kittle told David Lombardi about, they do know or feel like and are operating like it's a window, and they want to cash in.
Well, let's take that a step further, because you say let's say they go 3-6,
which is big stretch.
It's not a big stretch. They were 3-5 the last 2 years. They haven't had good starts the last two years, but okay. So let's take it a step further, because you said, let's say they're 3-6, and I think you said something like, he's not throwing. Yeah. To me, if he's not throwing, like, they'll see that right away.
Gotcha.
And I think that's more of like an injury, or, hey, we got to let the arm heal. And so, yeah, I could see him going to the number 2 at that point. But this is the way Kyle, and see if you follow me here. And again, I said this yesterday. I feel like Kyle Shanahan coaches in a way that the quarterback never looks terrible. Like, even Jimmy Garoppolo, he missed throws, but he never had the no touchdown 3-pick game. One was taken to the house. So when I bring
up Beathard and Mullins, do you take offense to that?
What?
Well, like they didn't look great. Or are you going to say, they're not? Yeah, okay.
I mean, the way you said that,
it was as if, as long as you're under his tutelage,
you're the guy who thinks
he can make it better. No,
you're the guy who thinks that he can win with any quarterback.
Well, those two were examples.
Well, they were backups.
Yeah.
Garoppolo is at least
But we had Kurt Warner on NFL Network before Mullins quarterbacked against the Eagles on Sunday night, and he was saying that he might be better than Jimmy. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, and we talked about it on air, is Mullins, did we miss something? And we come to find out he's just okay. He's not that good. Talking about Nick Mullins. But, Steiny, you're right. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is better than you're giving him credit for. Maybe some people are out there, because his winning record here, you can't argue it, Jimmy's. And he got you to a Super Bowl and damn near 2 with this play.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely did. And, the question is, and it's going to be asked until they win a Super Bowl, is can Kyle Shanahan win with a number of quarterbacks? But what about the big one? I mean,
Elizabeth.
And this is where you and I kind of go back and forth, although I agree with you on this one. The whole NBA title or bust, championship or bust, that's for very few teams. Very few teams really have the right to think that. I do think that this 49er team, yes, when you go to 3 NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl in 3 years and you don't get it done, then yes, the 49ers have every right to be disappointed and let down if they don't win a Super Bowl. But they're the only team, along with maybe Kansas City?
Okay, they're definitely in there.
Philly? Maybe.
They just lost the Super Bowl, so they're smart to get back.
Exactly, but that's a special case, and so the other thing is the expectations for this team make it more likely there's going to be disappointment. It's because only one team wins a Super Bowl, and if you're telling me the 49ers could go 14-3. Steamroll teams in the NFC playoffs, get to the Super Bowl and lose 31-30 to the Chiefs.
I wouldn't dare say, don't sign me up for that, Stan.
Well, no. What I'm saying is
31 other teams would say, we'll take that in a second.
No doubt, but that's my point. What I'm acknowledging is I'm usually the guy who would say, that's not a failure. That's a great year. But I am conceding that the Niners are different.